It's good to be back with you for another Bible study. My name's Kevin Young. I have the privilege of serving here at Christ Table as lead clergy. If you'd like to know more about Christ Table, super easy to do. All you got to do is look up that URL right there, www.christtable.today. You're going to find information about everything going on around here at Christ Table. I encourage you to sign up for the email list there so that you will know everything that's happening here at Christ Table. The other thing that I want to make sure that you are aware of is that you can go to this URL right here, go.christtable.today. It's right down there in front of me. Go.christtable.today/game on, and you can download the study materials for free for its entire study. If you'd like a printed copy of those materials, you can get those there. We have a youth and children's version of it. We also have the adult version of it as well that you can get there. It comes in this box filled with lots of spiritual resources that are going to help you work through this study as well as your spiritual journey. All the information is right there at that URL, go.christtable.today/game on. So speaking of today, we find ourselves today in Philippians chapter 3, verses 13 through 14, as we continue on now on day 3 of this study, where this week we are looking at the primary piece in the game of chess, the one with the most pieces in the game of chess, the pawn. The pawn is an oft overlooked chess piece. Just a little guy. Most people usually kind of sacrifice these very early on, especially the amateurs or the rookies will not understand the power of the pawn. Why? Because the pawn kind of has this image, this aura of being weak or unimpressive. For those who know the game of chess well and are very strategic at the game of chess, they will know that the pawn is actually a very powerful piece and in some ways can be the most powerful piece or player on a chessboard. Not unimpressive whatsoever, not weak whatsoever, only maybe unimpressive and weak in the hands of somebody who doesn't understand the power that it wields. Pawns are the only chess piece, for instance, that can't retreat. Once they move forward, there is no going back. For some people, that may seem initially as a liability. You can only move forward, you can't move backward. The other pieces can move backwards and in multiple directions, not the pawn. The pawn can only move forward. No retreat. I had a mentor over the years who used to schedule, and I guess still does, retreats with individuals for spiritual retreats, for growth and spiritual growth opportunities, but he would never call it a retreat. He would always call them advances. So instead of signing up for the retreat, you would sign up for the advance, because for him, retreat was symbolic of something negative, something that we don't want to do in our life. We don't want to retreat. We want to move forward. We want to advance. And so when you're coming together to try to learn or to be in community or to grow spiritually, it's not a retreat, it's an advance. This is the idea that happens with the pawn. A pawn only advances, a pawn never retreats. And so if you've been called a pawn over the years, maybe perhaps you can think about it in that way, as you're always advancing, you're never retreating. It actually has a bit of a spiritual connection there, this idea of advance rather than retreat. Paul, as he is writing and thinking to the church at Philippi, had this to say. He said, for me, I'm going to forget what's behind and I'm going to look forward. I'm never going to be in retreat mode. I'm always going to be in advance mode, straining towards what is ahead. It might sometimes seem easier to fall back, to retreat, to move in the opposite direction of the danger. Paul says, no, I'm not going to do that. A pawn can't do that. So might as well find ways to move forward strategically rather than grouse about not being able to retreat. Paul says, I press on toward the goal to win the prize for which God has called me heavenward in Christ Jesus. Paul says there is something to look forward to at the very end of this, and it is this transformation that is the goal, that I will attain this thing that I am looking forward to. We're also at the end of that road with a pawn. Once you reach the other side of the board, pawn can transform into any of the pieces that it wants to at that point. Usually, most people will choose what is generally considered the most powerful piece, though maybe the pawn is the most powerful piece, but most people would consider the queen. the most powerful piece. And so if you make it to the other side of the board, most people will trade in that pawn for a queen, a second queen. Did you even know that that was part of the game of chess? That was part of the rules? Paul says there's something to look forward to. So don't back up. Like the pawn in the game of chess, continue to move forward. So for us, I think what that means is that limitation actually allows us to be more powerful. Just as that forward momentum, no questions asked, no opportunity for deviation, makes the pawn more powerful because you're forced to commit to moving forward at all times. And that methodology, that movement out of a pawn, actually can create lasting change on the board. And it can in your life as well. It did in Paul's life. If you read through Paul's idea of pressing forward, straining forward, never retreating, never looking back, never going back, had dramatic implications on his life in a positive way. And it can for you as well. If you think, I'm only going to move forward, even if it's a slow pace, even if it's not in the direction that I might not want to go, even if it's just straight ahead, I'm just going to continue to put one foot in front of the other, moving as best I can, forcing myself to continue to press forward. You'd be surprised what lasting change can come to you, can come to your surroundings, can come inside of you in your mental health journey, if you will just continue to press forward, to dig deep, and keep making progress. Well, it's been great to be with you today. Looking forward to being back with you tomorrow. If you would like those study materials in order to help you go deeper into this journey as we walk through, that curriculum online has questions that will help you reflect on today's journey. It also has the verse there and some of the things that I've said here as well as a part of that curriculum every day. You can download it right there at go.christtable.today/gameon. Well, until tomorrow.